they have the second or third lowest adjusted sack rate in football. No pass rush from Atlanta. Like you mentioned, even worse secondary. Heineke is mobile. He's a pretty good athlete. He'll take off and run a little bit. He's a candidate to score with his legs. He's got the connection with McLaurin, clearly, right? McLaurin, every quarterback has a connection with McLaurin. He's just that good. I think he'll roast this Atlanta secondary. I like this game on turf for McLaurin, right? He's a turf kind of player, just an explosive athlete. You put him one-on-one on turf, and he's going to win that route, right? The majority of the time against the people guarding him. So I think McLaurin's an awesome play, and I like Washington to put up points. And then Washington's defense, which we expected to be good coming into the year, most people did, myself included, has been awful in almost every metric. I do expect them to improve, but how much? I think they're probably a middle of the pack defense, maybe at best at this point, certainly not elite. I don't trust the Atlanta offense. Matt Ryan, I think, is kind of in that Ben Roethlisberger boat where it's just hard to trust it. So I don't want to go in on Atlanta kind of in a full game stack mode. But yeah, Kyle Pitts, I think, is a good play here. I don't mind Ridley. Maybe even CPAT if you're going with Washington. But
if you have the trust in Taylor Heineke playing him, you have to at least believe that Matt Ryan is playable. You don't have to play Matt Ryan, but you have to believe he's playable at that price tag because you're kind of saying that you think Matt Ryan can score and the Atlanta offense can score enough to keep it a somewhat back and forth game, if that makes sense for everyone.
This is one where I think, JSU, that I'm kind of putting, I guess, my faith a little bit in the odds on this one, right? Where they're saying this game is supposed to be close, 48 total, and I don't have faith in Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan's been getting it done for a long, long time. So he just needs one decent game, and you're fine with the Heineke play.
Vegas might. Vegas seems to have a little faith in him, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
1 point spread. Yeah.
And Taylor Heineke, dude can play whenever he gets a chance. He kind of shows out from a fantasy perspective for sure. This Washington offensive line has been really, really solid. I think they have the second or third lowest adjusted sack rate in football. No pass rush.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports lineup and preview show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm here with Title. It's a two-man booth today. No hoop here, but we're going to break it all down for you. We're going to talk about some lineups from last week. We're going to talk about the upcoming week also as well. Title, I'll go over to you. How was your NFL? I believe we're on was it week 4? Week 4
Yep.
So far, right, Title?
Yep, it was week 4. Now week 5. Week 4 was very good. It was my best week by far. Both sites I cashed. Yahoo, I had some pretty good lineups too that were getting pretty close to the top. They have that really good tournament that Yahoo does run. So it was a very successful week. Showdowns went well too. Grinding it Monday, Thursday, running 2-game slates, 1 p.m. onlys, all that good stuff. So it was a very good week. Excited to dive in. Look at what you did. Look at what I did. And then look ahead to next week as well.
Yeah, wasn't a bad week for me. I think it was more break even. With props, it went pretty well, so I can't complain. The FanDuel slate didn't go as good for me, but the DK one was awesome. Tried to make the swaps to get there, couldn't. Wish Hoop was here so I could talk about the Matt Ryan swap. So Hoop, if you're listening, I told you I'd mention it every show till week 17. So there you go, Hoop. I mentioned it for you. Got it off right away. So if you had that bet in, Hoop, cash that ticket. Title. Before we kind of dive into everything, let's talk about the numbers that never win, right? We had a lot of nice hits this week. We had in Showdown, we had KMB Squid in NFL. He won 2.6K. We had J Bones. He won 5K in NFL. We had Just a Joe 2U win 240K in NFL. And then last night, On the Showdown slate, I saw we had Big T sweating in chat. I believe you were in chat. There was a bunch of people in the chat sweating out Matt S's win, 305K in the NFL Showdown slate. I believe it was only a 4-way chop. So I want to say congrats to the guys that crushed it in NFL this weekend. Title, what did you think of those wins that you saw this weekend?
There's some massive wins. Monday night, I don't know if it's a 5-way, 6-way split for Showdown. Faded Tom Brady, Mac Jones MVP. I mean, you fade Tom Brady, you're eliminating a lot of the dupes. And then yesterday, 4-man, I think I saw 2,000 salary left over or something like that. Both quarterbacks in the lineup, Austin Eckler captain, and you just went Parham and left the money over Chargers D or something like that. Congrats to Matt S. He's always in Discord grinding all the sports. I mean, what a 6-6 screenshot, $300,000. Congrats to you. Congrats to all the winners. I know the core plays this week, a lot of them on the main slate, had the Kansas City and Philly game and also the Washington Atlanta game. So 2 games you definitely wanted to have exposure to. A lot of big scores that we'll get into, but Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, I mean, tons of ceiling games this week. It was a very fun week, a lot of points, and it looked like a lot of good wins for our members. So again, we always talk about in DFS, whether you win, whether you lose the week, you got to have a short memory in DFS. You can't get too highs on your highs and too lows on your lows. So good thing about DFS, we got week 5 coming up, tons of more NFL to go, NBA coming up pretty soon, MLB Showdown slates, MMA, NASCAR, you name it, tons of sports going on. So can't get too highs on your highs, too lows on your lows. That's how I look at it.
All right. Yeah. I mean, listen, let's talk about all the content we have at Rump here first before we kind of dive in. Because, hey, we got a ton of awesome content, right? It's a great week. I was talking about it with some people. We got MLB Showdown tonight, right, for the playoff game. We got MLB Showdown tomorrow for the playoff game. We have NBA preseason going on as well. On top of that, then Thursday, we get Thursday Night Football. Friday, you get a nice 4-game all-day MLB slate. So our boy Stevie Boynton, he's going to be excited about that. I'm going to be excited about that too. I love when that happens. You get a nice 4-gamer all day. It starts at 1. You get a 4 o'clock game, 7 o'clock game, 10 o'clock game. It's the best. We're going to have all that content for you guys. Saturdays, we got your MMA. I believe they'll be on this week, right? We get the NASCAR. We get college football. Then on Sunday, obviously, we get NFL. I mean, it is a packed DFS week. And, hey, all you got to do is pay $8 a month to get all this. And you can just sign up for the week, right? We got a weekly price of $25. Come check it out. Definitely go sign up right now. It's a great deal. You don't have to sign up for this package and that package. You get every single sport all under one roof. Also want to mention, let's hit that like and subscribe, guys. I know we just got the show started up. Get those likes moving in there and then subscribe to the channel. Just hit that red button. That way you can get all of our NFL content that's going on all this week. Title, I don't have the YouTube show up because I'm having some issues on my end. But how many likes we got so far, Title?
We got 33 watching, 16 likes. So, hey, almost half, not bad. We got Jim Steele, Kenneth Singletary, Travis Duarte, Big Ticket, Jordan Niehaus, Patrick Rice, Bobby Gomes, all in chat hanging out and talking. So, hey, likes are doing fine. People will pile in. If you're in, we appreciate hitting the like button, but doing good so far.
Yep. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, comment in the chat. If you want to roast me, this is the time. I mean, I'm never going to see this. So I'm not pulling up the YouTube chat today. So I cannot, or else, I don't know, this might crash. We'll have to see what happens, but let's dive in. Let's talk about our teams and what happened this week. Let's go to DK first. I think DK was, I don't know, DK feels like it's been pretty straightforward. Title. Talking about DK, how did you handle it this week? We had the big dog up top, right? Then we had the, not free play, right? But the cheap 3K crapper that everyone was going to in Alexander. I think that's his name, right? Nick. No, it's not Nick Alexander Walker. I'm thinking NBA preseason.
You're thinking, no.
Nick Westbrook. I'm putting 2 names together here. So Mr. Nick Westbrook, he was obviously on that slate. And when you get those 3K crappers, what happens, Title? You get a lot of people just going to some top end plays, right? Because you can jam in the guys. Talk to me about your process and what you kind of did on this slate for your cash games.
So I went a lot different route than I saw. I think you went. I didn't see your exact team, but I didn't end up going all the way down for the receiver. Didn't even play big dog. I was on a different script than a lot of people. So I'll walk through kind of how I built my lineup and stuff. I thought there was a lot of different options and stuff you could go. So I'll start with my locks. Right away, I plugged in. I mean, this is probably one of the weirder weeks, but I plugged in Lions defense right away to start my lineups. They're 2.2K taking on Fields. They had a lot of upside. And I mean, they were pretty much free. I wanted to make sure I got Lions defense in there. I didn't need to spend any more money on that. I didn't want to go all the way down and spend the $100, $200 less. So I plugged in Lions D. I thought they were a lock. Devonte Adams was my next lock. He was just in a great spot at home. His target share is so big. He was only 7.9K. We did have the money to spend, like you said. So I went Adams as my second lock. Then I went DJ Moore as my third lock. He's just 6.6K. He's had such a massive role this year. And they're going against Dallas in a dome or in Jerry's world. And I was expecting a shootout. So Mangone, you're frozen. I think I'm still live. Mangone might have went out. So hold on. Let's see what Simon's. I'm so good. Cool. My Mangone froze. Sorry about that. I'll keep going with my process. Mangone hopefully will be back in there. But like I said, Lions D, Devonte Adams, DJ Moore, 6.6K. He's the first 3 weeks. He's absolutely taken over. He's clearly the guy for Sam Darnold, and 6.6K was too cheap. After that, running back was David Montgomery for me. Running back 1. He was 5,800 going against the Lions, who, I mean, yeah, I played their defense because of Fields and how cheap they were, but with Fields back there, Nagy wants it to be Dalton. Expected to have a big running first game plan. And Justin Fields back there helps David Montgomery find more holes because the DNs and stuff have to sit on field. So I thought 5,800 with his rushing upside, his props were good. His touchdown equity was good. He ran good too as well. So he got 25. He was 50% owned and cash at 58%. So I thought Montgomery, DJ Moore, Devonte Adams, and Lions D is kind of where I started my builds. After that, a tight end is where I went next. I ended up going Will Dissly at 2,600. Kelsey was just way too expensive on DraftKings. I didn't think it was optimal to pay up. Same thing with Kittle battling the injury and stuff. And then the mid-tier, I thought the mid-tier guys were overpriced for their role, where when Gerald Everett news came out, Will Dissly 2,600, starting tight end. They got Russell Wilson slinging the rock, Lockett a little banged up. I thought he was the right play at tight end. I didn't mind if you went Evan Ingram at 3K, but the 400 got me a ways, and Dissly 2,600 I thought was too cheap. So after that, I finished with my lineup: Josh Allen, Mike Davis, Robert Woods, and Deebo Samuel. And I was doing a bunch of 4v4s, 3v3s, 2v2s. I looked at like Derrick Henry and stuff. Quarterbacks, I thought Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts were definitely in consideration. You guys know from watching these shows every week that I'm a big Josh Allen guy. I had the money at AK. Mike Davis, I was debating the Mike Davis and Trey Sermon route. At the end of the day, on both sides, I ended up going Mike Davis. I'm not sure if that was right. I still don't have a strong lean. I thought it was a coin flip. I had Deebo Samuel on both sites as well, and I really didn't want to play 249ers in cash games when I didn't even think they were in a great spot anyway. I like Deebo's price tag at 6.5. I landed there. So Mike Davis, I just went him over Sermon just because I didn't want 249ers. I didn't think that was a must at all. Mike Davis, he got really lucky to even stumble in the end zone too. So not sure that was correct. That makes necessarily the right play, but I was fine with Mike Davis at 5,100. Then I went Robert Woods as my last one, 5,300 against Arizona. It was the best game environment. I thought it was going to be a shootout. Like I said, teams, we said it the previous week, teams are going to start making sure Cooper Kupp, eliminating him out of the game. Defense is keyed on him. Robert Woods still did not run well. He got there at the end. I got lucky in this lineup. Deebo's last touchdown, Robert Woods' last touchdown. I put up 163.52. It was a very good week on DraftKings, but at the end of the day, I don't love my team as much as I do some previous weeks. I'm not sure about Mike Davis. Deebo is only 8% owned. Robert Woods was only 15% owned. So outside of Montgomery, DJ Moore, Dissly, Devonte Adams, and Lions D, I thought there were multiple other routes to go. So I landed Allen, Montgomery, Mike Davis, Deebo Samuel, Robert Woods, DJ Moore, Dissly, Devonte, Lions D, 163. But I thought there's a lot of different ways to go. And I see you're back, Mangone. Curious to see where you went, because I know a lot of people went some different routes.
Yeah, I think I went a bit of a chalkier route. Hopefully I don't get kicked during the show again. Don't know what's up with the internet. Never had issues so far, but we are having issues now. We'll see if we can get through it. And I'll be pretty quick. I think it's easy. So I punted Lions D. I punted Will Dissly. I punted Westbrook, right? I was basically looking at some stars and scrubs kind of builds. I plugged in the big dog. I plugged in one of Adams or Cooper Kupp. I felt like you can go either one. My lean was Devonta Adams. And then that left me with 4 spots: a quarterback, a running back, a receiver, and a flex. And you can go a bunch of different routes there. I mean, you obviously go a cheap guy and then an up top guy. I just went kind of 4 mid-tier options. I felt really good about going Chuba Hubbard and David Montgomery. My debate was in the flex. Do I go like an Odell Beckham over a David Montgomery or a Chuba Hubbard? That was something I debated. But at the end of the day, I looked at props and I was like, dude, like I just can't ignore those guys' props, especially David Montgomery's. His was insane. So
Yeah, it was.
I just could not ignore what I saw with that. And then I was debating quarterbacks. I thought you could go Justin Fields and like a Cooper Kupp if you wanted, but I didn't think you needed to take the risk with the Justin Fields this week. I thought he was okay. Like I wouldn't tell someone not to play him, but it just wasn't my preference. I really thought you were just living in the Dak Prescott or the Jalen Hurts range, and I ended up going Jalen Hurts. And it's funny, I put Jalen Hurts as my like lock like Saturday night, and I love Jalen Hurts, but then the lineman situation I got more nervous about when that came out. And I kind of moved it over to Will Disley, mainly because I was just thinking you need the punt tight end. Like, I think that was just the route you were going to. Kind of what you said with the Lions D. Like, I just thought you should play like a punt defense. So, like, it was one of those things I went back and forth on because I like to be transparent and make sure I'm like playing the guys I say. And like, I did think that Dak Prescott became more in play for me based on the $200 with the lineman stuff. And then I was like, maybe I'm overreacting to it, right? And I just didn't want to overthink, and I just stayed with Hurts. I like the route that I had, and DJ Moore was kind of a guy that just filled the spot. And again, I looked at props and I was like, his props are like popping, and like I just didn't want to ignore it. And I'm definitely someone that like I look at props and like sometimes if I think like they're wrong, I'll obviously go the other way, but I do value them too. So at the end of the day, that kind of got me on the Moore and Montgomery route more, and because I wasn't super excited about DJ Moore. I thought there were routes where he could fail, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a good team. I got like 153 points, ended up profiting. Listen, we can move on over to FanDuel. Before we go on to FanDuel again.
What was your full squad? Say your whole squad. So it's Hurts, DJ Moore, Montgomery. Just
Hurts,
say it all for the people.
Yeah, it was Jalen Hurts, Derrick Henry, Chuba Hubbard, Devonta Adams, DJ Moore, Westbrook, Disley, Montgomery, and Lions D. So
gotcha.
Decent setup there. Title, we'll go on over and talk about FanDuel. But before we go on to FanDuel, right, hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. Helps us out a ton. We appreciate it. Also want to mention, we got NBA best ball season, right? We got the preseason going on. We also got best ball. Use that code RUNPURE over at Underdog to get $25 deposit bonus on your first deposit. And listen, you don't have to be a RunPure member to use that. You could just be, someone who randomly shows up in the chat first time. And if you are first time showing up, again, hit the subscribe on that red little button. And then go deposit over on Underdog and get the NBA dollars because NBA is right around the corner. And listen, we have a great NBA team, one of the best in the business. Title, let's move on over to FanDuel. I'm pulling mine up, so we'll let you go first. Talk to me about your FanDuel construction for NFL this week.
Yeah, so at quarterback, I thought it was Josh Allen at 8,500. As the day went on, more Sunday approaching lock, and we were hearing about the rain situation and stuff, I was getting a little concerned, but I just thought he was clearly the best quarterback play. We know he's game. I mean, if they're up 30-0, like we saw, I mean, he still slings the ball a little bit. He has so much rushing upside near the goal line and touchdown equity. And I thought that even got more because of the rain. So I really like Josh Allen with how the salary and stuff is. I thought spending up 8,500, I didn't think the difference from Hurts or from Dak or stuff was worth it. So I went Allen at quarterback. Then my next spots were I take Devonte Adams and Travis Kelce. I thought they were clearly the plays. Travis Kelce at tight end. I played him most weeks on FanDuel. He's just so safe. He obviously failed in this spot, but he was 77% owned, 8,200. I thought he was a clear play. Devonta Adams was only 8,100. Cooper Kupp was like 8,600. 500 went a long way. Devonta Adams still his target share and goal line equity is so much. So I thought those three were the plays. Then after that, it got a little more difficult. I thought Chuba Hubbard, whatever way you pronounce it, was the next play. 64% in cash. He was 6,300 and he got you 8.1. His props were pretty good. I thought he was going to get more of a role than he was. I was surprised to see them mix in the running backs as much as they did, but I thought he was the play. And then, like I said, I went Mike Davis. I went Deebo Samuel. I went Robert Woods. I went Aaron Jones. I didn't know exactly. Like I said, I was debating Mike Davis and Trey Sermon. I was debating some other running backs up there. Aaron Jones, I didn't think was a lock. I thought the last four spots, there was a lot of ways to go. Again, I don't know if going Mike Davis over the Trey Sermon route was good. I still don't know. I thought it was a coin flip. Same reason I didn't go Trey Sermon on FanDuel, same reason on DK. I went Deebo Samuel. I didn't want two 49ers. in my lineup. Mike Davis was 40%. He was just 5,400. He was so cheap on FanDuel. It got you a lot of stars. I mean, stars and scrubs builds kind of what I did because 5,400 is really cheap. So I went Mike Davis, I went Chuba Hubbard, Deebo Samuel, Robert Woods. Woods was 6'2". That was too cheap for the game, I thought. And Deebo Samuel at 6'9". Now, those two were one of the last two I plugged in my lineups, but I knew in that range, I did like Robert Woods the most for the low 6K, high 5K range. And then Deebo Samuel at the 6'9". I wanted to fit DJ Moore. I was trying to look at him and look at a couple different routes. Couldn't end up doing that. Got lucky. Deebo got there. Then I went Aaron Jones in the flex at 7,400. I thought there was multiple ways to go. But the Kamaras of the world, David Montgomery was only $100 more. Derrick Henry was all the way up in 10-2. I couldn't get all the way up to the top guys. And I thought Aaron Jones in a positive game script at home was in a really good spot. He only got 9.4, but I like the price tag. Then I went Jets D, full punt, 3K with Tennessee without AJ Brown, Julio Jones. They were at home. I never mind punting D. So Josh Allen, Chuba Hubbard, Mike Davis, Deebo Samuel, Robert Woods, Devontae, Kelsey, Aaron Jones, Jets D. I put up 113.32, made most of my 50s. I followed a son, made most, made a lot of my head-to-heads. So I cashed over there, but man, I won't lie to you. I ran really good late with that Robert Woods touchdown, with that Deebo Samuel touchdown, with Mike Davis's touchdown at the end. Like it was a day I probably got more lucky than I had a good lineup. So I liked my lineup, but I didn't think it was near a lock. And some of the other weeks where I liked it more. So I ran good. And what can I say? I got lucky, I think.
Yeah, we say we ran pure over here, Title. Not you ran good. You ran pure, obviously.
Ran pure.
Which is always the good thing to do. I'll go through my lineup. I'm excited to, I don't know if I'm excited, but I'm curious to hear what you say about one of the plays I had. So we'll talk about it. Josh Allen at quarterback felt like the guy you wanted to go. I wanted to go Jalen Hurts, but I was like, man, like salary wise, like Hurts was 779 and like, 8.5 was Allen. And I was like, okay, I can find the 600. It's FanDuel, right? Like, so I went Allen there. Mike Davis, he was too cheap over there. I think you would just go him because of his salary. And same with Chuba Hubbard. I thought Chuba Hubbard's salary was too cheap. So I thought you should play him. I had Devonte Adams. I ended up swapping off of Devonte Adams, and I'll get to that in a second. I went to Cooper Kupp, though, for this, and then I had Devonte Adams. I went Calvin Ridley. I ended up prioritizing him between Deebo Samuel and DJ Moore. I just thought Ridley was the best one. And when four running backs get touchdowns on the Falcons in a game that's scores 60 fantasy points, or not 60 fantasy points, 60 real life points. Title, if I told you 64 real life points were scored, wouldn't you want Calvin Ridley at 7-2, right?
Yeah, you just didn't run pure. I totally hear you. I mean, what was Ridley's price? 7-2 something?
7-2. I mean, he had 7 receptions, 80 yards. I mean, classic Calvin Ridley, just getting the floor at least. And man, definitely didn't run pure in the touchdown department. Now this is the other one. So in the high 5 range, I landed on Cole Beasley, and I was not excited about Cole Beasley until I opened up his props. What did you think Cole Beasley's props were, Title? What's your guess on his receiving yards?
Receiving yards, I'll say 56.5.
59.5, which that's high. For a guy in the 5.9K range. And I didn't love this slate. And I was like, it's correlation, right? It does correlate with Allen technically. So that was one. I mean, part of me regretted it because I wasn't on him a ton. And then I kind of just landed on it, and I wanted to go Devonta Smith, but then I was just I don't know, I'm team correlation, right? I think it just makes sense. So I just went with it. Again, I think it was fine. It's similar to my process on the David Montgomery stuff and all the other guys. So I'm okay with it. Part of me was bad because it just I wasn't there until Saturday night, and then I got there, and then I was like, okay, fine, we'll do it. And it's simply someone that wasn't on my radar on Friday at all. I figured I was going to play a Devonta Smith instead if I landed in that range, or if I would have played a Robert Woods, but perfectly fine with it. Travis Kelce was a stone lock for me. Definitely was going to be paying for him on FanDuel. I thought it was just the absolute correct play. And then I had Aaron Jones. I thought Aaron Jones was a good play. The more I looked at running back, the more I just realized I thought his floor was amazing, and I thought you just wanted to go to him, but I ended up swapping that to Deebo Samuel. And here's the thing: even if I didn't go let's say I didn't go Cole Beasley, I went Devonta Smith. Before the game's locked, I would have felt fine with my performances, where I would have kept Devonte Adams and Aaron Jones. I think I just would have lost no matter what. But if I left my team the way it was and didn't even look, I did get some money back. So, and those are things that help me out in the long term. So I think I got like 33% back by doing that. So we'll take it, right? Overall, it was profitable based on DK and FanDuel and the props that I all did. Like, so very happy with that. And then Jets defense was the punt. I wanted to go Packers D, but I felt like the salary of 1,200 mattered enough when I kept doing all my lineups out. So that's where I ended up. What's your overall thoughts on that title?
Yeah, my one question is, so how much did you take into consideration the weather in Buffalo? Because I was worried about it for Josh Allen a little bit, especially when they turned on at 11:57 or something and the game started going to the announcers and I saw the rain. I was like, man, weathermen are saying it's going to be off and on, sometimes worse than others. But obviously to start the game in 11:57, obviously Central Time, lock in 3 minutes, the rain was coming down pretty hard. And obviously if it was like that the full game, I would not have wanted Josh Allen or a pass catcher. So I ended up trusting the weather and stuff. But were you nervous, or do you take that into consideration at all with Beasley?
I didn't take it that much into consideration. I thought it was just fine. If I was playing Josh Allen, I was just playing him for correlation, right? I mean, it was just kind of simple. Like if I was really that worried about the weather, I would have just got off both. So, and Josh Allen's like good in the bad weather, so I didn't really care that much. So, Cole Beasley, like non-vax guy, has to love the bad weather, right? Has to be able to fight through any conditions. Total joke there. Just kidding.
The good old narrative. So what did you end up scoring on FanDuel? Do you have
I 104.7, but that was, again, the Debo swap was huge, right? Debo getting the 31 and the Cooper Kupp getting 10. I really needed the Cooper Kupp touchdown at the end. Like the whole Robert Woods was like not it for me. I needed Cooper Kupp. Like that would have been massive. And that was another reason I went over to that. So I was like, okay, listen, like Cooper Kupp is what, 9%, like, and Devonta Adams was what? I don't know, probably like 50 plus, like
68 in this one I have pulled up right here. $10.
Yeah, the shocking thing for me though was Aaron Jones was 25%. I didn't expect 25% on Aaron Jones. I thought he'd be like 40 to 50, maybe even like 60. I thought people were just keying in on him more, but maybe I was just completely wrong for that.
He was 35 in this one. I mean, what I have noticed is 50-50s, especially on FanDuel, man, do they vary. $5 to $25 ones, but the ownerships, like you said, 25 for Aaron Jones. This one has him 36. You said Devontae 45. He's 68 in this one. I mean, I click on a different 50-50 and check ownership, and it's varied pretty much. So I'm really wondering I wonder if you have any insight on this. If you enter like 50s in the beginning of the week, I enter them throughout the whole week. I enter some in the beginning of the week, some toward the end, whenever I have free time, whatever. But do you think that the cash line and the ownerships and stuff vary? And is it sharper if you get in the beginning of the week? Because that's when a lot of the regs enter their stuff, and like people enter it Sunday morning hungover, the casual Saturday night and stuff. Like, do you think there's any merit to because my buddies were talking about that. They don't play as much volume. One enter late on Saturday and one enter beginning of the week, and the cash lines were so much different for them. Do you have any insight or thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it depends on what volume you're playing, but I'm not entering 50-50s on like a Tuesday. I'll tell you that. I just don't need to. So I'm perfectly fine with entering later in the week. And if I'm you, I would do that too. It just depends though. Some of those, like if you're like a lower stakes player on FanDuel, like you can slam those $1 and $2 ones a while. So like that's a little different, but I'm definitely team like some people want to spend time on Sunday morning, like tinkering and doing other things. Like I think slamming entries on Sunday morning can be more valuable, searching for head-to-head, searching for 3-mans. I think there's a ton of value in that, but that'll wrap up that 10. Unless you got anything else to say, that's my kind of take on it.
Yeah, no, that was a very good point. I was just something that came up. I'm always thinking about where you can find the edge in certain things. Like if if someone in a 3-man is going to have the same lineup, the other two people have the same lineup, that's a 3-man you want to get into, because instead of beating two people, you only got to beat one person and you get more money. So all that stuff, the game theory aspect, if you want to call it that, it's important to talk about. So yeah, I think entering later, maybe I won't enter as much earlier in the week. Whenever I have time, I do it. So definitely good points there. It was a successful week on DraftKings and FanDuel for myself. A lot of running good though. And I liked your teams as well. So hopefully the people got some knowledge. And looking ahead to week 5. Haven't looked at it all yet, about to pull it up. So I'm ready.
Yeah, I haven't looked at salaries too much, but I kind of know the games. I know we have a London game. I always for some reason on Sunday, I always like to pull it up and just like give a look. I pull up like the ESPN app and I just look at what the schedule is and create like ideas in my head of like what I think a total is, what I think this player will be like, or I like this matchup. That way, when I do open it up and look, things just pop out to me and they're interesting. So let's dive in and talk about that. Before we do, guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video, helps us out a ton. And if you haven't signed up, go to Rump Your Sports and get in there, right? We have all of the content you need. We got NASCAR, MMA, MLB Showdown for 100K to first night. We have it all over here at Rump Here. So go sign up now and get in on the action. But let's look ahead at next week. Pulling up DraftKings now, pulling up the quarterbacks, and we got Kyler Murray at the top against San Francisco at 8K. And when I did look at this slate, I remember seeing some games and I was like, man, we are left with a really ugly card compared to most weeks. And to put it in perspective, Title, I'm trying to pull up everything here. We have no Rams Seattle on the slate, right? That's typically two teams that, they're in like high totals. Again, 54.5 there. No Falcons. Falcons are typically in a dome. When there's another team in a dome, right? Like Washington, the game can go off. So you have those off the slate. You have no Bills and Chiefs, which is a 56.5 total. And if you have those teams separate on the slate, what happens, Title? You got 250 totals. You don't got them anymore. And then you got Colts and Ravens, which, Colts obviously we don't care about, but Lamar Jackson is always in play on these slates with the rushing upside that he can have. So we have a lot of really good teams not on the slate, which what does that do? It causes us to play a lot of really dusty teams. So as we go through it, I'm looking to see how many 50 totals we have on the slate. Packers, Bengals, that's a 50 total. We got Giants, Cowboys, that's a 52.5, and Niners, Cardinals, that's a 50. And those ones could trend down those 50s, right? I mean, you wouldn't be shocked if they just moved a point or two. So lower scoring week, you should expect this week. Title, what sticks out to you so far on this slate?
Yeah, man. You said it best. You're looking at someone in chat. Josh Gilham mentioned it earlier. He said this is the best slate of the year this week, which I don't agree with that. But for the same logic, he's just thinking of different. No Mahomes, Lamar, or Josh Allen. And don't got to decide between Tyreek and Kelsey again.
Title, so, I agree with Josh. I don't these weeks, so I'm excited.
I do not. Yeah, that's fair. Everyone has their both things.
Why don't you like to dive into the mud? It's difficult. Like, it's fun. It's not just plug in this guy and that guy. Like, at least live a little, Title. Come on.
See, I think it's going to be just plug in this guy and plug in that guy, because when you have Josh Allen, Lamar, Mahomes, and you have so many, you have studs at every position and the guys that you want in big totals, ownership gets spread out. I'm playing Debo at 8% owned. You don't see that as often. Now this week, we'll just get right into it. Quarterback. The spend up options aren't there as much. I spent up at quarterback every single week on both sides so far in cash. Maybe Dak Prescott at 6'9", Herbert at 6'8", but he's got Cleveland. I think going in the mid-tier might make some sense this week, looking at some of the guys. Danny Dimes going against Dallas. He's 6K. He has a rushing upside. Derek Carr taking on Chicago, 6'1", maybe right there. Jared Goff is only 5'3", taking on Minnesota. I first look, man. I think it's Dak and Herbert if you want to go to the high 6K range, but I wouldn't be surprised if I see myself in the low 6K, even in the 5K range, to get guys like Derrick Henry's on this slate. He's only 9K. Devontae's on the slate at 8.2. DJ Moore 7.5. So I think the studs are going to be concentrated at other positions up top, whereas I might not spend up at quarterback since we don't have many of the main options.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I like Jalen Hurts at 7K. I would still be willing to pay it, but would I rather maybe get Kyler in there? That's definitely possible at the 8K range, but might not have the salary to. We'll have to see. Justin Fields, 5.2. The only problem is the rushing hasn't been there yet. And I need it to be there. I don't know if I want to take the shot this week, but it is in a dome against Las Vegas. I definitely think it's something that will be in play. Definitely something I will be considering. Trey Lance at 5.7. I was wondering what his price would end up being. So again, another guy that can run and a week of practice that could help. And again, against Seattle, right? He only basically played a half. And what'd he do? 20 fantasy points. And I get it. The Cardinals, they're a good team, but hey, you can pass on them. And I want quarterbacks trailing, right? I don't want my quarterback just up and then handing the ball from the fourth quarter. So you definitely can see that with the Niners on the road. Should be an exciting week at the quarterback position. A lot of ways to go. You mentioned Daniel Jones, Dak Prescott. There's so many options, I think, this week. Let's go to the running backs. You got the big dog, 9K. And you talked about there not being a ton of guys to on this slate, right? But we got the big dog against Jacksonville, 9K, and that team is a mess right now. So he is certainly going to be in play. And Alvin Kamara at the top at 8K. He saw his career high in carries, but receptions have been down for him. Curious to see what happens with Kamara. Title, what are you doing with these running backs here?
Yeah, you mentioned big dog. Someone in chat had mentioned or asked a question. Arizona Cardinals have been running two back to seam. Who do you guys like more, Edmonds or Connor? Yeah, the Cardinals situation is really interesting. We expected them to run two running backs, but man, I think Chase Edmonds is by far the better running back. His talent, his explosiveness, his catching out of the backfield. And also the Cardinals have seemed to give it to him whether they're up or down. He's not just a game dependent, game script running back. He's out there regardless of the game script. So that's a good question. I mean, both of them are really good spots because they have Kyler, they have D-Hop. They can't stack the box, but I personally like Chase Edmonds a little more. But I have a lot of Connor best ball too. Good question over there. Looking at it though, yeah, Derrick Henry up top, 9K. Seems like a misprice a little bit, to be honest, going against Jacksonville. I think he's too cheap. Who knows what the status of the wide receivers are going to be. But as I mentioned, we don't have the Kelce's, Tyreek's, et cetera, to pay for. Really like Derrick Henry. There's also Kamara at 8.6, Dalvin at 8.4. Interesting to see how healthy Dalvin is. He's taking on the Lions, which is a matchup we like. So 8.4 could be very interesting. Going down a little bit, Najee Harris is 6.9. His reception upside, full point PPR on DraftKings is so high. Anytime Big Ben's going to be back there since he can't push the ball down the field. So I think he's interesting. Zeke and Saquon in the same game. Saquon 7.3, Zeke 7K. I do like that game a little bit. That's interesting. Damian Williams, David Montgomery's out 4 to 5 weeks, is what they said. Damian Williams is only 5.6K. He's going to step in. We'll see what Nagy and the coaches are saying a little more about how they're going to plan on using their running backs. Hopefully that stuff comes out. But 5.6 for a starting running back now. Damian Williams can catch balls out of the backfield. That price is really interesting. James Robinson, 6K. DeAndre Swift is 6.1K. He has also a lot of upside out of the backfield catching passes. Fournette had a very big game. He's only 5.2K. The pricing came out before Sunday Night Football, so that price would be probably 5.8, 6K if those pricing, or if he had that game he did on a main slate on Sunday. So those are a couple of the guys. Derrick Henry and Damian Williams stand out the most. Fournette's price as well right now, but I mean, there's still Chubb, Aaron Jones, Antonio Gibson, like Chuba Hubbard's back. Like there's a lot of options still on this slate that you can go down, but my favorites, I think right now, first look, but Henry stands out, Damian Williams, Fournette, and maybe a little DeAndre Swift and Najee too.
Yeah, obviously running back is loaded, and I think it's the same as I talked about last week, Title. Like this mid-tier is strong, right? So I think we are going to be living in this mid-tier a ton. I don't think you can ignore it. There's definitely a lot of different options. So yeah, I mean, Leonard Fournette 5.2 against the Dolphins, where it could have a really nice game script. Depends on the injury situation. There's going to be a lot of routes to go. I do think, though, the mid-tier is going to be where you want to live. That's my current thought on that with the running backs. Let's get on over to the receiver position. Talk about that. Devonta Adams, 8.2 against the Bengals in a 50 total. Definitely someone that you're going to want to be looking to roster, I think. I'm not scared of that Bengals secondary. Devonta Adams, 8.2 also on FanDuel. And then on FanDuel, your boy Justin Jefferson's at 8K. You got DJ Moore at 7.9 with a huge price point, and even Deebo Samuel at 7.7. So, Title, break down this receiver position for me.
Yeah, I like Devonte Adams a lot. 8.2 on FanDuel. He's 8.2 as well. So he definitely stands out. I'll be playing Devonte a lot if his price tag's going to be sitting around that range. I like the Dallas receivers, CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, 6.1 and 6.2 on DraftKings, taking on the Giants. I mean, they play up tempo. They throw a lot. I think they're in a good spot. T. Higgins is only 5K. On DraftKings, Jair Alexander could be out for, I mean, I haven't heard it. Could be an all year thing. I think it's a pretty bad injury. Definitely he's not going to be out or going to be playing this week. So if T. Higgins is back, he's 5K. Tyler Boyd's 5.3. He always treats us well. So Jamar Chase 5.8. I think the Bengals make some sense. Should be trailing and slinging it most of the game. Keenan Allen 6.5. I like going right there. Chris Godwin, he's 6.3. Antonio Brown's 5.2. I'm looking at some of these higher total games and picking some of those teams. So I like the Cowboys guys. I like the Bengals guys. I like Godwin. I like Brown. Maybe a Jacoby Myers at 5.6K. Mac Jones, he's definitely his favorite receiver. Little cheap there. So, and then the one guy, Curtis Samuel. he's only 3K. I expect the snatch rate to go up. He's going to be practicing a lot more. 3K is just a complete misprice for someone as good as Curtis Samuel and his explosiveness. So receiver's pretty good.
Yep. Receiver is loaded. You definitely have to be playing these guys on this slate. You got to consider 4 receivers, right? You got to consider even Deontay Johnson, right? I mean, I wouldn't be crazy to consider him with the PPR agency. Keenan Allen, 6'5". Chris Godwin, 6'3". I mean, CeeDee Lamb is 6'2" against the Giants, right? There's all these guys in the 6K range. I talk about it. Brandon Cooks, 6'1". You know what he can do, right? Will people go back to Odell Beckham at 6K? Not exactly sure. Jamar Chase in a 5.8K total with Jair Alexander out there. Will he be out there? He got hurt. If he's not out there, Title, I mean, you can't ignore these Bengals. I mean, I talk about it, all of these 6K receivers, 5K receivers, it's an absolutely loaded range. You can talk me into so many of these guys. Obviously, as the week develops, you know, we'll discuss it. We'll kind of break it all down and we'll put our stuff up on the cash chart. You could tell me, hey, I'm playing Robbie Anderson at 5K Title, and I wouldn't tell you it's a bad idea, right? I mean, there's just so many guys. Chris Kirk in a massive total at 4.9. You can just talk me into so many different guys. Now, as the week develops, I'm sure that we'll gravitate to some other guys, and that'll make other options tournament plays. There's just so many names now in this mid-tier that can absolutely crush. So we'll obviously stay tuned to all the news and it'll all shake up and develop. Let's talk about tight end real quick, because on DK, what do we not have? We don't have Travis Kelce. We got Waller at 7.3 against the Bears in the Dome. So that's obviously going to be a spot where people might gravitate towards, or they might just go cheap because, again, there's so many loaded 6K and 5K receivers that I think kind of going in the mid-tier or even going like super cheap at tight end makes the most sense. Title, we'll go to you. What are you looking at here for the tight end position?
Yeah, I mean, it's only Tuesday and we're just looking at pricing, but I doubt I see myself getting up to Waller at 7.3. I always usually spend up more on FanDuel, pay down more on DraftKings, just how the roster construction stuff goes. I like Kittle's price at 5.6K. He'd be the one, if I do pay up, he'd probably be the guy I get up to. Otherwise, there's a couple guys down below. I mean, it's pretty gross at tight end. But like Jared Cook, if you want to go back there at 3.6K, he just had coming off a good game yesterday. Herbert likes him. You can go Evan Ingram, 3.2K against Dallas. I think that's a strong play. We know Evan Ingram, he battled injuries early in the season, but 3.2K for someone as talented as him and their receivers already banged up. I think he's very interesting. Then if you even want to go a little cheaper, maybe Cole Kmet at 2.7K. You talked about it being in a dome. Cole Kmet, I mean, his numbers, his box score hasn't been good, but he is running routes. He's pretty much free at 2.7. I think I'd rather get up to Evan Ingram though, or Jared Cook if deciding, but I think it's going to be Kittle or just go all the way down. Who knows? He could have some injury stuff. Gerald Everett was on COVID last week. We don't know how many times throughout this year that people are going to be midweek, late week downgrades to the COVID or injuries, whatever, and then something pops up. So just looking at that, I think it's going to be more of a pay down this week on DraftKings though.
Agreed. I want to talk defense real quick because I believe we haven't had a 5K defense, and we're almost there, right? 4.9 for the Patriots against Houston for good reason because of Houston, how bad they are. Am I correct, Title? Are these the defenses? It seems like the prices are starting to move around a bit, and we have 2.1K defense with the Jaguars. We don't have a below 2K, which we'll probably get at some point. But what's your thoughts on the defense Patriots being priced up at 4.9K?
Yeah. I don't know what the last, I never look to really pay up on DraftKings, so I don't even bother scrolling all the way up. FanDuel, I paid up once at 5K and stuff. Yeah, I mean, why not price the best plays out of a reach where people aren't going to play them at all? And if you, like last week, you needed the Bills, not necessarily needed, but you really wanted the Bills in tournaments to give you, I mean, they put up 23, like defenses have ceilings that can win you GPPs at low ownership. So no one's going to play the Patriots 4,900. I think it's interesting at GPPs that they do it.
My only problem with that Title is you need to do it at every position then. Like Derrick Henry needs to be 10K.
I agree.
It's just that if you're going to do that there, which again, I'm trying to remember what last week's defensive pricing was. Cause again, I don't look at like the top end defense as much. I just scroll right to the bottom normally, but it does feel like it's different. I mean, maybe people in the chat can let us know, or maybe they'll just say we're donkey from not knowing.
I'm going to look when you're talking. So let's see. Defense, the highest price was 4,300, the Bills.
Yeah, so they did move it up some, which again, I wish Derrick Henry was like, I'm not saying it should be 10K, but like At least make it 9-5, right? You got to make it at least a conversation for sure. That's at least my opinion on the title.
No, yeah, I agree. I'm waiting for them to go to the defenses, like put a little 1,500 defense out there. I know FanDuel last year did 2,500 once in a while when a team's just in an awful spot or something. So I always like when they mix it in, when they put Chris Davis in baseball back in the day, when they put him at $500 and stuff and just dared you to play him. Like, I like the little games theory and stuff like that. Putting Patriots at 49, I mean, they're going to be 0% in cash games and 2% in tournaments. So it's whatever.
All right. Well, title, I mean, that's basically the look ahead. I don't got too much else to say. All I got to say is if you haven't signed up at Run Pure Sports, go sign up now. Hit the like, hit the subscribe on the video. Again, that helps us out a ton. You won't miss any of our content. It's that little red button over there. Title, give me your final thoughts, and then we will get on out of here.
Yeah, it's always fun hopping on these shows, seeing where you went in cash. I saw a hoops team on FanDuel. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what he had. Didn't see it on DraftKings though. So it's always fun talking what we did, talking what you did. People in chat are dropping stuff, pointers, what they're thinking, what they did throughout the whole show. So always like seeing that. It was a really good week 4 for me. So I'm excited that I ran good for sure. Deebo Samuel, Robert Woods getting there late, Mike Davis after 13 carries for 14 yards. It was a week where I ran Pierre. Was good to get some money and excited for week 5. We had a little look ahead, but we know how much changes throughout the week. So make sure you look at the cash show on Thursday. I do a podcast with Rubio and Holden, the spread that comes out on Thursday morning as well. Have a little more insight on the week there. So make sure you look at all the content. We have MLB showdowns, NBA is coming up, MMA, NASCAR, you name it, we got it. So even though NFL only a couple weeks or a couple days a week, we can play and gamble on it. The off days, there's always something going on. So make sure you get in the Discord and check it out at Run Pure Sports.
Yep, check it all out. That'll wrap up this week's show. We will see you next week for me, Mangone, Titletown. See you guys later.